5 on the left, 2 on the right. Christian will go ahead and get us started. Ready? Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Please remain standing for the reading of the bylaws.
Salvation, Allah, unity. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, divine constitution and bylaws. Act 1, the Grand Sheik and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to the slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. That's from noble Drew Ali, the founder, the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the home office of noble Drew Ali, Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islam Moorish.
We want to thank everybody for coming out today. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, Subordinate Temple 12, and this is a class. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them just by raising your hand and saying Islam, we'll get to you. If a hand is up before you and happens to be a sister hand, we will call upon the sister first, and then we will ultimately make it to you. If you need anything or you see somebody walking around with their hand up like this, they're just moving around, giving respect to the fact that the people are speaking, and they just move around the room if you want soft drinks or anything like that. So is there any questions before we get started here? We have a couple more things to read, and we'll let the Grand Sheik open.
Islam, thank you, Mr. Grand Governor. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Your prophet Noble Jew Ali. Islam. It's a very important piece that we read in these days. Islam, I rise. I give perfect praise to Allah, the Father of the universe. I rise and give honors to all our prophets. I rise and give the highest honor to our holy and illustrious prophet, Noble Jew Ali, who came to save us. Islam.
Islam.
So he's given us that letter to read at every meeting. So stay away from those things that are on your job, in your home, workplace, and on the streets. The message the prophet brought was a message of love. So as we come into our own, sometimes we believe we need to speak down on people or these things. The prophet brought a message of love. So make sure we keep that out front. It'll take care of its thing. There was, in the time of the prophet, they were doing a lot of things, and a lot of movements came up in Chicago and those other areas, a lot of which we now see are no longer exist because of some of their intentions and their evil intentions or violence. You know, we don't advocate violence against anyone, nor will we allow anyone to harm us. The prophet said, take care of the temple, take care of your leadership. Protect the temple, protect the prophet, protect his materials. Islam.
Well, we have a short class for today, and we want to get into a couple things. I thought it may be helpful for us to be able to make things out of our Quran a little more useful in our everyday lives. So the topic for today is going to be decision making. How do we go about making decisions and what's going on? And what does our Quran tells us about being able to make these decisions? I have a couple excerpts. That's why I said we're going to have people, if you don't have a Quran, try to share people in the middle or something like that. If there's too many in one row, just pass it up and let people share so they can make it. So we can get that. Or we can, that's fine. All right. Now, when we think about decision making, we ultimately have to come with a couple different modes we're going to move in. For instance, if I want to make a decision, some decisions are immediate. I need to make an immediate decision. Some decisions I'm gonna wait. I don't have to make right now. So depending on the decision that we have to make, should determine how well of a decision that we make. If I don't have to make it right now, I should be able to make a really good decision. You know what I'm saying? However, I need to put the parts in there that's going to be needed to make that decision a great decision. We have times where we was reading in our Quran and it told us the parts of our bodies, what makes up that man, the soul and the spirit and the body, that higher self and lower self. We spoke about that. So those are the parts. Now, we learn how to recognize those parts and attributes to those parts so that we can make ourselves better people. Now, how do we do the same thing with decision making? So we're going to look at a couple of chapters here. We're going to look at chapter 9, that's IX. In chapter 9, we're going to look at verse 6. Who has that already?
Okay.
Chapter 9.
Yeah, chapter 9, look at verse 6. I'm going to read from verse 6. It says, the news was spread that you consort. This chapter here is Jesus attends a feast in Bahir, and here he taught humanity. He taught human equality. So this is from that excerpt from that chapter. The news was spread that you consort with courtesans, and men will shun you as they shun an ass. And Jesus answered them and said, a master never screens himself for the sake of reputation or of fame. These are but worthless battles of the day. They arise and they sink like empty bottles on a stream. They are illusions and will pass away. So the concern that's had here is that Jesus is going to be sitting with some unsavory people that are thieves and people that are prostitutes and things of this nature. And he's sitting with them and talking to them the same as he's sitting and talking to the most important people in the city. So they came to him and said, you're going to get shunned if you keep doing that. The people that somebody is going to be upset that you're sitting with the people that's nobodies. And they're not going to talk to you no more. They're not going to do this. So they telling him that these are the things that you need to be aware of. And he responded to them by saying that a mastermind does not change what he's doing because of fame. He's not out there for fame. So when we're making decisions and we come to decisions in our mind, we can't be trying to make the most popular decision, right? We can't say, well, this is what everybody is doing, so let me do that. You see? So does anybody got anything to add to that?
Islam, let me jump in there too. Islam. So he said he was a mastermind, right? So he's mastered his mind.
Right.
So he knows that that's fiction about what people think of him. So oftentimes we worry about what's going to be the outcome of doing what's right. Jesus said that there's no reason for that. That's going to pass away. I remember sitting around a dinner table one time, and some family members were having a debate about a child that was born someone else of one of our different family or different cousins, and they were saying that that's an illegitimate child. I said, there's no illegitimate child of God. How do you define that? And they said, whoa, they didn't want to talk about it anymore. You mean Allah made something that was in his image that wasn't right? That don't make sense. Then they changed the stuff. They didn't want to talk about that anymore. So this is the same thing that he's saying. That his mind, he's mastered, and he's mastered of his domain, of his mind. And he knows that that's going to pass away. How do people feel about the decision? The long term is going to be, did it benefit them? So we all have some work. We all have that seed in us that Allah has given us. So he said he went to the prostitutes. He went to the murderers. He went to the adulterers. He went to the thieves. Okay?
So that kept a lot of people. So when you relate this to yourself, then it's relatable in the sense of, have you ever made a decision based on the fact that you didn't want somebody to feel a certain way or think some kind of way about you, even though you knew the decision wasn't the greatest decision for you? You see? So those are the things that we have to look at. And I might say, I'm this, I'm that, but I've done it. Somebody else might be strong and fearless and tough, but still we got these social pressures that are upon us that bring us to bear, like Jesus was brought to bear on, should I go over here and tell you, here's a bunch of homosexuals over there. And one of them asked me, well, what is this thing you talking about with this more stuff? I can't go over there. Somebody might see me talking to them homosexuals over there. So I can't stop and talk to him. That's going to be a problem, or do I give this man the information? You see, because I don't know what his crimes are. I wasn't there. So Islam. So if anybody can identify with that, you can just chime in. You can say, yeah, because we all gonna learn from everybody's experiences to know that these things are all common to all of us. We was having a conversation after class last Sunday, and we was talking about, sometime I'm speaking and people have called me and say, well, was you talking to me? Was you trying to, I'm like, no, I'm not specifically. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Right. I didn't know what you just told me. but that's because we all have things in common. And usually when I'm looking in here, I'm seeing it from my Allah. And I see it's going to be the same for you. It's going to be the same for all of us. So those things are going to be in common. And yes, they do feel like they pointed directly at you, because they are at every single one of us. It's pointed at every one of us every time. So yeah, it will be personal. And if you feel something as a result of it, it's because now it's time for you to make some decisions. It's time for you to make some decisions at that point. That's why it's coming back up. So, and it's no different than this conversation we having today. Now, we're going to go on to chapter 11. Chapter 11, what page is up? 11. Now, and this one is 12 and 13. Is everybody there? Now, in this right here, Jesus, he says, Jesus and Barata, together, they read the sacred books. So we're going to read out of 12 and 13. And Jesus said, enlighten Araba, are you a mastermind? And do you know that man knows not by being told? Man may believe what others say, but thus he never knows. If man would know, he must himself be what he knows. So does that strike any chords in anybody? Islam. The sister first.
When I think about what you just said, it makes me think about when people don't necessarily seek out truth.
Right.
Because if they seek out knowledge, once you know something, you have to do something with it. You
Right.
have to hold it. So once you know what the truth is, then you have to live in that.
Right. That is exactly right. Once you know the truth, now you're living in it. So some people avoid it. Anybody else? Does it strike a chord? Islam.
I was saying that the actions will go along with what you have in your head to manifest faith to come out to how you want to do positive things.
Islam.
And that's what this was just saying to me.
So, isn't that's one of the things that's the problem with us as humanity, that we deal with this flesh. We get information and we take it and we run with it. All right. Hasn't been in the court of law, hasn't been anywhere, hasn't been anything. Sometimes it's even just in your mind. So if those of you that have been in psychology, talk about external triggers and internal triggers. So sometimes those internal triggers are, well, I think he's about to say this, or this actually is going to happen to that, so I'm going to do it first. But none of that has really even happened. So sometimes it's a misunderstanding, and that misunderstanding might be with self.
Islam. So we can see now from the difference and variance of the answers that people don't display just now, what decision making. So this particular couple of sentences actually hits to the point of where does the decision come from? You see, what makes you to decide to do a particular thing a particular way? Because he said you know not by being told. You know, so each individual has to be what they say that they are. They judge him from that point. So the decisions that you making came from the things that you are. So your answer in response to things come from what you are or what you believe you are. So when you thought that you was just black, and now you've been here and you know that you're a Moorish American and you've been here for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years now, how does your thinking change? How does your decision making change? Because now that person knows something that they did not know before. So the decision making has changed because of what you know. Like the sister said at the beginning, it causes the person to make a different type of a decision. So I'm gonna read that again, and we'll be able to see that.
Islam. Let me jump in there before he read that. Mm-hmm. And he touched on a lot that he said that these things change you. There's a reason why we read the law every time before we open a meeting. All right. The law has 7 acts or actions. So these are the things that are going to guide you as you hear them over and over and over again. They're going to become a part of you. You will quote this just like anything else. You will understand it, and then you will become this law. And then once you're in this law, you can't vary from it. Why? Because it's on your heart, which is here, as we teach in Eastern philosophy. It's up here. So now when you take this and put this on your bloodline and put this to here, that truly is law.
Islam.
He's going to read this to you again.
So, and it says, 12. And Jesus said, enlightened Arab, are you a mastermind and do not know that man knows not by being told? Man may believe what others say, but thus he never knows. If man would know, he must himself be what he knows. So if somebody is to tell me, hey, I'm a great person, he shouldn't have to tell me that. Because he would have to be a great person and I would have already seen it. You see? So if we've been taught to listen to things that don't quite fit, and then we start making decisions afterwards. But a lot of things we can make right off the dribble. You know what I'm saying? Right off the dribble. You start talking to me, I start counting. And we get to a certain number of things that don't make no sense. I'm like, right. And it's just a habit now. It's just a habit. I'm not going to say anything to you, but anything you say after a certain point, I'm really not paying attention. I'm trying to find that way to escape the conversation. So I'm just listening and you forget. What'd you say? I'll talk to you in a minute. Because it's not going to get anywhere. So we have to be cognizant of those things, that we are what we know. And if you know something, don't fiddle diddle around in nonsense. Don't fiddle diddle around in nonsense. Don't sit and talk to somebody about something you know that don't make no sense. I had a brother tell me that, well, the truth, every lie got a little bit of truth in it. So, see, you're not about to take me into that. You see what I'm saying? I can go talk to somebody who gonna sit and talk to me with the truth, and I can be comfortable. I ain't got to put my guard up, because if you don't, that person will slide a little bit of that nonsense into you, and you'll be at home talking to your child, talking about, yeah, baby, the truth got a little bit of Or when you got to explain certain things, like certain holidays and things of that nature, you're trying to explain them, and you can't explain that stuff. You can't explain what's going on with that. People like, why should I keep my child from, I wasn't kept from celebrating Christmas. Why should I keep my child from, I shouldn't deprive them from Christmas. What? Oh, okay. So I don't want to be in there and deprive my child of Christmas. So, okay, then. Yeah, well, just come on in and bring the Christmas with you. Just bring it on in here. This temple can handle your Christmas, trust me. So just come on in. There's some people in here that love talking to you.
That's right. So when you think about that, so it's pretty simple. Participation without application equals failure. Right? It's pretty simple. All right? If you don't participate and you don't apply what you've been doing, you just a talker. All right? So that's going to equal to failure, even if you take it the other way. Participation, application or participation. If you don't do those two things together, it's going to result in your failure. All right? So you have to try things. Every situation, every new invention has come about because someone tried something, they failed at something. But their failure can't justify, what has come out of that. It has to be a understanding that I could use this for this, or I could do this a different way. I talk with adults in the workplace that have never tried to ride a bike because their parents told them they would get injured. So what do you think about other decisions that they have in their lives? They probably have never made certain decisions. Never gotten on a plane, never gone on vacation. So when you take your mind and that mind holds you hostage, well, there you have it. So now you haven't tried anything, you haven't lived.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, so we have to be, again, we have to be mindful when we're talking to people that that's from what they know. So they're making decisions from what they know. That's all they can do. So until they hear and they get more information and begin to know who they are, then those decisions will change. Those people will let go of those things. So that's those decision makings are there. Now we're going to go on to chapter 12. Just one ahead. And 8, verse 8 and 9. And Jesus said, my brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of meats and bounds. it's not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. So these people were forced to decide to go to heaven or hell. Why was they forced to decide to go to heaven and hell?
That's what they was
told that.
That's the only thing they know. You see? So they decided to go to heaven or hell. It was a choice. They said, you got a choice. You can go to heaven or hell. Said, okay. But how about neither? How about me just staying in heaven by making it, but you not explain how you're going to be in heaven? Now, this chapter goes on and explaining, and it was difficult to do this right here without every one of these chapters I'm reading in just makes you get stuck in the chapter and you just be like, wow, you know, so trying to take an excerpt out of it is rough, you know, it's rough. So if you read any of them, particularly that one, you'll find a whole lot of jewels in there to be able to work with. But that's the gain and the loss of our decision making. You know, if I make a decision, you know, I want to gain this. If I make this decision, I'm going to lose that. You see, these are still decisions that's being made, but they're being slid into us without us making a determination of who we are. Because the decision has to come from what? From what you know, right? It has to be, you have to know who you are to make a proper decision. It's not about the information of heaven and hell. It's about who you are. Because the decision is already made. At no point do you not know what to do. At no point were you non-existent. You've always been. So at no point will you come to a point where you don't know what to do. The issue arises that you don't know who you are. So you don't know what to do. There's only one decision at all times. Islam? Any responses or anything with that? Anybody need me to reread it, or Islam, the brother in the back here?
Yeah, when you understand who you are, to have an understanding and an understanding, and you want to pour with planet Earth, and you know how the universe and how you're gonna work with the universe. The things that your subconscious wants to overrule and step on the stage and shine, when you conscious, that has no meaning, no feeling, no nothing, and you don't even fall into that place.
Islam. When you get it's well-rounded, when you know who you are, that's where that goes. You don't have to react to those things. Okay, we're gonna go on to chapter 14. And we're going to do chapter 14. We're going to do 14 and 15 in there. I'm going to read from 14. This is the ministry of John the Harbinger. 14. Be not disturbed, you rulers of the state. The coming king is not antagonist. He seeks no place on earthly throne. The eyes of men shall see it not, and none can enter but the pure in heart. Now, this is John the Baptist. He's coming into a town and he's letting them know that Jesus is coming. But it's stirring some things up, which is what he wanted to do. He wanted to stir some things up. That's what a harbinger does. He come and stir it up. So he come in and stir up these things, and he's telling them that, but he's not trying to get your kingly throne. He's on a different page. He says that the eyes of man shall see it not, and none can enter but the pure in heart. Now, the brother was saying here just a minute ago that the heart is up here, for Eastern philosophy and thought. So he said the pure in heart, so the pure in mind, the pure in thought. So when you become aware of who you are and you know who you are, your mind become pure in thought. It doesn't have two particular things to decide from. It only has one to decide from. So any decision is made, it's already made. Like the brother said, you at one. So as you begin to live your life, you become closer and closer to the oneness of Allah. So I become closer to each and every individual. So the more I speak, the more it sounds like I'm talking to each and every person every time, because I'm becoming closer and closer, and my thoughts are becoming more united. Islam?
just to piggyback on that, there's a section in there that it says, think evil of no one, of no man, until you see it. All right. So our thought in our mind that we place in our mind can't be of something negative or evil until we actually see it, until that action has occurred. All right. So we dealing with, if we dealing with law, we dealing with intent, right? So their intent just can't be, you know what, I thought he was about to do this, so I did it first. No, that's incorrect. I have to think that this man is coming to see me about something positive. And then when he comes and it's not positive, I say, oh, okay, now I seen it. Hey, don't come over here with that. All right. So we can't think evil of any man or anyone until we see it. That's a poor thought. That's a bad thought process for us that's supposedly conscious.
So as we develop through coming to class and learning in life itself, the purity of mind, as we develop that, then our decision making becomes clear and simple. I'm not looking, hey, I can lose this or I can gain that. It's not that type of a decision anymore. It becomes a pure decision. It becomes a simple decision because that's the way that we're going. You know, it's not a question of should I do this or should I do that. I'm already going. I am what I say I am. Are we following me here? It's not. So the decision becomes no decision. So that's just something that'll lure you away from the reality of truth when they try to make a decision. At no point should we have those decisions because we know what we're going to do. And somebody will come up to you and go, you know what you're supposed to do. You got your plan set out. You're going about your business. And I'm gonna make this much money and I'm gonna do this. This is my plan. And somebody comes up to you and say, hey, you know what? If you take half of that and put it over here, in 2 days, you can make 10 times as much. Really? Okay. Boom. Oh man, lost all my stuff. I'm out of business. What happened? It's like,
we talked about this, we talked about intent. The thing that comes to my mind is if my intent was not to make 10 times that amount in the first place, then that should never be an option because at that point, I made the win and the loss an option. Right,
Islam. So that's what we have to be cognizant of. We have to always be on where we're going and stay on your path. Stay in your lane. That's where you should be. It's your lane, stay in it. You know, it's like a million lanes. Everybody got one. Just stay in yours, you're gonna be fine. It's when you come out of yours, you have a problem. So how did our people get out of their lane? What decision occurred that caused them to say, hey, I'm gonna follow the doctrine of these people. I'm gonna follow the creed of these people. And it led us to this downfall and state that we're in now. How did this occur? By leaving, right. So we have that. So now we can go on here to chapter 15. And this is one of the chapters that's hard to just take one thing out. Chapter 15, it's just hard to take one thing out because it gets you going, you know. So in chapter 15, in verse 2, and there's a few in this one, so we're gonna have to slow it down a little bit. And in verse 2, it says, and he went forth into the wilderness to be alone with the law, that he might look into his inner heart and note its strength and worthiness. So now this chapter is about Jesus going in and fasting and coming with the conversation with himself. We got a very live demonstration of this chapter. And, you know, if we get enough texts saying, hey, we want to see it again, then I'll do that one again. But we got a lot of good remarks from that particular chapter, and it's good, you know. So when we're reading that, the key to this one here in the relationship to our decision making is, it says his inner heart. It says he might look into his inner heart and note his strength and worthiness. So his inner heart, what is that we're talking about?
Your inner self.
Right, your inner self. But what about the inner self?
The understanding of consciousness.
Right. And anybody else got anything? Anybody else? Your inner self. You know, he's saying he went into his inner heart. He said, so he went to the deepest recess of his mind. And how would he be able to do that? Exactly. He went into the deepest recesses of his mind and he meditated. So when you making a decision and it's a big one, you don't lose your mind if you don't meditate. If you just make a decision without meditating, you're not going to reach the deepest part of your mind, which is going to give you the answer. It's going to be a clear voice. It's going to be small. But if you're making a lot of noise, you won't hear it. Now, what is noise? It's interference. All of the things that don't apply to the direction you're supposed to be going. That's not in your lane. All that's noise. And it prohibits you from hearing that little voice when you meditate. It says, you be sitting there, you meditating, 20 minutes might go by, 30 minutes might go by, an hour might go by, and you hear something go, yeah, don't give him no money. What? Yeah, I was thinking about loaning store. Yeah, no, bro, I can't loan you nothing. And it'll be just that clear. And you just follow it and keep going. You don't have to worry about it because it'd be that clear. Your whole body feels the answer. So the response, it's not like you're going to have any kind of regrets or stress about it. Your whole body feels it. When you get the answer, your whole body is feeling that response. And when you tell the person, trust me, they get it. When you tell it to them, they ain't even gonna be upset because your whole body gonna give them that information. They, all right, yeah, and they just usually just go right on ahead with that decision. Islam. Oh, the sister.
And the first time that you hear the voice of somebody else in the room, look at them like,
right.
Did you hear something just there? Did you? And you don't want to ask them if they heard what you heard, but you're like, if I say that they hear this, they might say, yeah, but they didn't really hear it. So, did you hear something?
They think somebody crazy. Right? You know what it's like? You know what it's like, right quick, brother? Have you ever been real tired, and then you lay down, but you still got stuff on your mind, and you're thinking about these things? You say, I'm just going to lay down for a minute, but you fall asleep real quick, but your mind's still thinking, and you hear yourself snore. Have you ever done that? And it wake you up. The first time it happened, you like, what? Because it's that close to your ear. It's like that. That voice is like that. It's like you hear it right inside of your body. And it's everything, you know?
Islam. So if you're not listening to Allah, who are you listening to? You have to think about that. And you have to gauge that. You're not listening to the word of Allah. You're listening to something else. You know, in the old stories, what was it? They had the sirens or the thing they talked about. They was hearing this stuff way off in the distance, and it took them out into the distance. But be careful what you're listening to.
Yeah, it'll take you away. And so that's the inner heart that we have to listen to that helps us with these decisions. So we see Jesus went to listen to this inner heart. So when we make our decisions, what do we need to do? We get to listen to this inner heart as to what we need to do. Islam. Now we're gonna.
Islam. Let me in there for another minute too. He said, and note its strength and its worthiness. So when you note something, that means you're taking special care to it. So when you meditate, you say, so really actually when you meditate, you're supposed to think about what it is on your mind. You meditate on it, finish what you're doing, then you meditate on the answer. That's actually how you're supposed to get the answer. You're not supposed to make one move and just sit. You know what I mean? Because this is what happens to people in Vegas every day. They bet their house, they lose it. Something tells them, do it. I did. That's not. So he said,
put it all up.
Put it all up. You know, that looks good in the movie, but that's not good in real life. All right. So he said, and take note of that, of the worthiness. So a lot of times when you talk to people that are coming into a new understanding, they don't think they're worthy of what it is they should receive. Okay. We know we're worthy of what we get and what we deal with in these classes and we spiritually deal with because Allah has blessed us with that. So a lot of people worry about their worthiness. I'm not worthy of this. If you studied any of the other stories or you've read there's a book about Martin Luther, the founding of the Lutheran Church. He at points tortured himself. He laid in the snow and was trying to die because he said he wasn't worthy. But we are worthy to get these things that we have. So don't ever doubt that. It's the spiritual of us taking on these other names and these other things that make us say, I'm not worthy, or this person's not worthy, or that. We all have the same worth in Allah's eyes. Okay? Because we're the son and daughters of the Most High.
So Islam, and so we have to be prepared. You know, that goes along with knowing who you are. And then the worthiness is there. You have to know who you are. So that fits with our decision making to know who you are, and you're comfortable making those decisions, and you're comfortable listening to yourself. So we're going to move on to in the same chapter. We at number 7. And it said, and Jesus said, who is it that demands a test? It is no sign that one is the son of Allah because he does a miracle. The devils can do mighty things. So he said, who is it that demands a test? Now that's the key to that when we're dealing with decision making, is who is it that's trying to force me into a decision from the first place? Who is the person that done what they did that's causing me at this point now to make this decision? And what is the merit that that person has on that? Even when I go in, like the Grand Sheik told me about going into the Social Security office, and the person asked him, well, he said, we don't have that in the Moorish Science Temple of America. He said, Islamism. We don't have that in here. That can't be. Oh, so is there a religious test? Who is it that's giving a religious test? No. We don't got that here. Okay, then. See? So just by determining to them, who are you? Are you the one that's giving the test? You the one that's making that demand upon me? No, we're not doing that. So they want you to do your own self in most cases. So when it's time to make a decision, look around you and see who is it that's trying to force the decision on you and why. And then when you meditate, you can meditate on those things. Like, how did they put that on me? Particularly when you're in corporate America, it tends to fall down because don't nobody want to make the decision if they don't have to. That's just good practice. If you don't have to make a decision, don't. Because if you make it, you're going to be held to it. So if you can pass it to the next person, pass it to the next person. Keep passing it down till somebody gets stuck. They got to make it. Or you got a vigilante that's going, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, well, boom. So you want to...
Islam and law, that's what they call plausible deniability. So you deny it, and everybody has denied it. And the last person, while he's off the clock, say, and then put it through and get up out of there. Right. Because they don't want their name on that. You know what I'm saying? So in this, he said, who is it that requires these tests? It said, it is no sign that one is the son of Allah because he does a miracle. It says the devils can do mighty things. He said devils was plural. Mm-hmm. All right.
So the key to the decision making is to determine all of the parts. So you want to know who is this demanding this of me? Because once you know who you are, then you're able to determine who everybody else is, and when somebody is not right. You see. So that's how you come to that conclusion.
Islam. The last thing on that too. If someone demands something of you and it's not Allah, aren't you worshiping? If you go along with that, isn't it just that simple that you just became a worshiper of whatever concept or thing that they done brought you or somebody brought you? Mm-hmm. So in your mind, they say, hey, we do around here, we do this left foot first, right foot first, and we say, amen, or whatever we may say. Okay, and you jump on that. That's not your divine creed. Now you just went and worship. How many times we go in places and they say, we prefer you to remove your fast? I said, I prefer not to. Right? We prefer you to. I prefer you to not ask me to remove it. All right, but we got to be able to stand firm on those things. That's not a challenge to them. This is a free national standard. I wear it because I'm free.
Mm-hmm. That's what we do. That's what this says. It's not. So we're going on to verse 9. It says, my words and deeds in all the walks of life shall be proof of my messiahship. So he's saying that my words and my deeds. So when we're making a decision, we're making a decision based upon our words and our deeds. So when we decide something, we have to be consistent. You know, I can't say yes and then all my actions be no. I don't show up. Yeah, I'll be there. Then I don't show up. So those two things don't match up. So my words and my deeds. So in our decision making, we have to be clear that what we're saying and what we're doing is the same thing. Like when the brother over here was saying, he said that he overstand and that they understand and that they understand that these are the things that they know. So when you look at the word understanding, in a lot of instances, it simply means that you're in agreement with something. You holding it up, you supporting it. Understand, a stand holds it up, it's holding it up, it's supporting it. So you're supporting something that a statement somebody just said, and you say, hey, I understand. Nothing to do with comprehending. Two different things, right? So you have to know that your words is adding up to your action. Because if you don't know the difference, then you're going to get tricked. And your decision won't reap the fruit that you think that it's going to reap. It's going to be the opposite because you wasn't paying attention or your decision making was flawed. These things that we're talking about. And I hope that you write these things down because if you practice them, then your decision making will become effortless. You won't have to sit there and worry about it or fret or be upset about anything.
Islam.
Anything on that?
Islam. So you said, so when we talk about words and deeds, you know, and this also has a spiritual, everything has a spiritual side to it. So when you put it out there, even the prophet gave us in these works, he said, my words are spirit, you more better heed, so they live. Same thing as when you speak things out there into the ethers for others to pick those things up, we want them to be positive. But also when we put those things out and we talk things through, it's to make this body do it too. It's not just, you're not just talking to just people, you're talking to your own flesh. I'm going to go and do this. And then when you had that thought in your mind and said, yeah, that's the right way to go. Okay. Then now you put that on you and you're going to act that way and do what you said you were going to do. You actually are also talking to this flesh. Right? So we're not just talking for the kids and to hear things and whatever. Some people do talk for themselves to hear because it vibrates in their ear and it makes them think they're hearing Allah, but they're not. They're hearing their own words. That's why they talk like that.
So anybody have anything on that one? You're free. We have 14 and 15. We're gonna read in the same chapter, in 14 and 15. So if you will give your life to these, they shall be yours. But Jesus said, away from me, all tempting thoughts. My heart is fixed. I spurn this carnal self with all its vain ambition and its pride. He said, my heart is fixed. His heart is fixed. Was he talking about this right here? Mm-hmm. No, his mind, right. So when making the decision, you have to be fixed. You have to make the decision, and then you need to support it with the things that's going to keep your mind fixed on that. You know, if you can remember back, I can, when I was younger, that I would decide to do something, it was hell trying to get me away from it because I'm going to get it done. I don't care if everybody around me and everybody did. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to get whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I kept on till I got it done. So that is the mentality that you have to have as a Moor. Your mind has to be fixed on who you are. And you cannot falter. If your mind is fixed, you cannot falter. There's only one decision every time, and that's right. So it ain't no option to, hey, get my money back at the gas station he gave me. I gave him a 20. This dude gave me back $30 for a 20. That ain't right. Okay, hey, did you miscount that? Because I gave you a 20. You gave me back a 20 and a 10. Oh, man, I messed up. Okay, here you go. Because you got to decide that. Because when you don't decide that, a decision still was made to corrupt you. The decision to corrupt you was made when you decided to not say something to the person because you got to be rock solid. Islam.
So we have to build on things that's solid. So they talk about a solid foundation. So your understanding in the divine has to be built on something that's solid. It said you can't build on sand. Is what you read in a whole bunch of. So why is it? You have an hourglass. What's an hourglass? It has a bunch of sand in it, right? And you turn it this way. But what happens when the hourglass run out? You're supposed to reset it. You're supposed to make a decision at that time. How much sense do that make? You flip that over, the sand run all the way through. Oh, I got to make a decision. Now you're under the gun to make a decision. That's what those things is teaching you in your mind. Corrupting your mind.
So we have, we're going to go on to chapter 16. And we're going to read verses 8 through 15. try to conclude from here. It says, you men of Israel, according to my custom, this is going to take a little bit of information. They trying to persecute Jesus and they bringing him out. So this is an attempt to try to save him and also an attempt to try to slay him by the Jews, all right? So it said, you men of Israel, according to my custom, I will release to you today a prisoner who shall bear your sins away. So it's a person that they will let go, and that person will symbolize all of the sins of all of the people in the town. And they would get that person and they would put all the sins on that person, and he would bear them and leave the town, symbolically taking the sins away. And now they've refreshed, they clean for the next year. Islam. So that was a custom at the time, right? So that's what they were doing. So this is what's going on at the time. He said, you men of Israel, according to my custom, I will release to you today a prisoner who shall bear your sins away. This man you drive into the wild or in foreign lands, and you have asked to release Barabbas, who has been proven guilty of the murder of a score of men. Now we got to give a little information here. The Barabbas is a man that's rich, so he don't done a bunch of things, but he got the cheddar, he got that change. So he don't pay to be this person to get released, not nobody else, right? So he gonna use that to get out of the murder charge, right? So so he says, now hear me, men, let Jesus be released and let Barabbas pay his debt upon the cross. Then you can send this Jesus to the wilds and hear no more of him. So they were saying, banish Jesus, don't kill him. This is what what was he? Polite.
That was Pilate.
Pilate. He was the one empowered by the church, to render these decisions. So he was saying he didn't find no wrong in Jesus letting go. So he was trying to find a way to do it where he would be on the hook or held responsible. Remember, they keep pushing it down. Everybody trying to get off of them. So that's always the name of the game. The more politics you get into, the higher commercial things of that nature, any of that, executive things, everybody's pushing the buck. Nobody want to make that decision, okay? So he's trying to get Jesus out of it because he sees that it's wrong. So we're going to keep going. Now hear me, men. Let Jesus be released and Barabbas pay his debt upon the cross. Then you can send this Jesus to the wilds and hear no more of him. At what the ruler said, the people were enraged, and they began to plot to tear the Roman palace down and drive in exile Polite and his household and his guards. Now, when Polite was assured that civil war would follow if he heeded not to the wishes of the mob, he took a bowl of water, and in the presence of the multitude, he washed his hands and said, this man whom you accuse is son of the Most High Allah, and I proclaim my innocence. If you will shed his blood is on your hands and not mine. And then the Jews exclaimed, and let his blood be on our hands and on our children's hands. So they're saying that we're going to take responsibility for this. We letting Barabbas go. We killing him. If you get in the way, we're going to tear the house up. We're going to go ham in here. So they saying they're not going to listen. Now, how does this play into decision making? And sometimes in our lives, we in one of those things that's called a catch-22, where we make the decision, it's going to be ugly. We don't make the decision, it's going to be ugly. So that's one of these decisions. So what do you do when you're in a catch-22? Well, you verbally say that you disagree with it with your mouth because you can't do nothing else about it. You're in that situation. But you have to verbally say, hey, I disagree. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Now, I gave everything I can to try to rectify it, but I can't rectify it without harm to myself. So he went and he said, it's on you. So I disagree with you. And this is the state. This man is this servant of Allah. So I'm not killing him. And I advise you not to kill him. But if you insist, I'm washing my hands from it. I'm not responsible. So it's on you. Now, do you accept? Now, they said, yes, we accept the responsibility and let him wash his hands. So it comes times in our life, that's things we, that's what we have to do. We have to wash our hands from it and let the people have it. You say, I'm gonna wash my hands from this situation, brother, and you take it. You know what I'm saying? All right, I got it, man. Okay, that's all right, that's on you. And I go the other way. You see? So sometimes that's what we have to do when we make a decision. We can't get to the point that we want to get to. And we can't do what we know is right. So we have to wash our hands from that situation and make the statement to Allah that we know that what's right and what's good. But however, he was in fear of our own demise. So we didn't make the decision. We left it with them. Islam? Now, can anybody relate to that? Y'all kind of quiet today. Anybody relate to that? At all?
You the creator.
Islam.
You the creator of your happiness, and you the creator. Well, you your own heaven and hell.
Islam.
And that's just your lower self and your subconscious and your higher self and your consciousness. And through the different dimensions you will travel, you'll bring out your own happiness because we all here for that. And we all here together. And that's the reason why we're gonna travel and be great.
Islam. So anybody have any questions dealing with choice or at all? Everybody got great choices. They good. So all these perfect choices been jumping off in here. And well, I hope that this that the topic of choice. Go ahead.
Islam. I'm not making the best choices right now because I'm not in my proper person.
Islam.
And that right there, I'm in dishonor to my ancestors. I'm not making the best choice, and that's what I want to do.
Islam, yeah, that's what we all want to be. So, which was the reason why the topic of choices was one that I came up with, in hopes that it would be able to help everybody know that we all have these same choices. You know, there's nothing different from you to me. You know, once we become fixed and firm in who we are, the choices become a lot easier. So, if you want to make your choices easier, just fix yourself on who you are. And then it would become easier. The reason why you're struggling is because you don't know who you are. Because as soon as you accept it and you move forward, Allah is the great protector. Allah provides you with everything that you're going to ever need. And I can testify to it. No sooner than I think that I'm not going to get what I want, I calm down, breathe, I meditate. There it is right there every time, like clockwork. And it's the same for you because you ain't no different from me. I'm not no different from you. Islam?
Islam.
I just want to piggyback off of what he said, because if you understand the level of dimensional travel and growth and all like that, you have to be really careful how you speak to yourself. If you understand that life is about school and experiences is about learning, it's not that you're not making the proper decisions right now. It's that you're learning. You have to accept yourself as a whole. I am right now, so that your actions line up with that.
Islam. It was said best by it said you're not responsible for what you did in the darkness. Responsible for what you are once you were in the light. So as you get into the understanding and you know that that's wrong, and you consciously still do it, even though you know it's wrong. They're not responsible when they don't know 100% that they lost in the wilderness. Sometimes people are in a coma. Don't they put you in a coma in the hospital to save yourself? Some people are in a coma to save themselves. They're not ready to be awake. The prophet said, don't wake them all up at once. He said, I can't do nothing with them. So how you supposed to go wake them all up? You gonna just go start shaking people awake? Here, you gonna get the information whether you want it or not. They're not ready for it. But when the time comes, they'll be awake.
They'll know.
Islam.
And when you think about giving information to people and you're talking to people and you got it, you really got it, you think you got it and you want them to get it, that's time to have a conversation with yourself and meditate on whether or not you truly need to try to force that information on somebody, because you never need to force it. It's going to get there at exactly when it's supposed to get there. So just plant the seed, then you invite them back and a few more seeds. The questions will come. People generate their own questions. The other thing is, when you're providing the information, You have to think about how you're providing it to them. Because a lot of things, when people wake up, can actually incentivize them to have negative thoughts and do negative things because they're angry.
Okay.
Yeah. I know most of the people in this room that I know are probably angry at some point. And there's so much propaganda out there that we see every day, and we're inundated with it. Just like we're inundated with all the negative that's in the world, we have to inundate ourselves with the positive. I'm one of those mantra people. So I am that I am is something that I say all the time. I'm truth, I'm love. We're all of those types of things. And hearing whether you're saying them out loud or whether you're saying them inside your head. People that drive beside me probably think I'm absolutely crazy because I'm always talking to myself.
Islam. The last point on that, and I'll give it back to him. You never know how fragile a mind is until you. I went to get a friend and we got him from prison. He had been there 10 years. When we go to get him, and he got out and he said, "What are you guys wearing? Oh, this used to be right there. Why'd they knock that down? These cars look different." He was like, he turned around, he wanted to go back inside. He hadn't seen any of that stuff. So he came away to reality right now. We had to keep him grounded. That's a tough thought. You for 10 years, you had somebody tell you what to do, when to do it, when to eat, when to sit down, when to go to sleep. And some people are okay with that. But then when he got back out to here, he said, "Uh-oh." He said it just hit his mind all at once. Locked in darkness.
Well, we have, like I said, we have appreciation for everyone that's came out today, and we hope we see more of you. And I hope that this message was able to penetrate your consciousness, and I hope that it sticks with you. You know that your decision is one, and everything that deals with the law is one. So when you're stuck between things, then you know you need to work on yourself. Because it should be, your path should be clear. Your judgment should be according to the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So it's easy to make these decisions. It's easy to move about in and out of things, decisions. So if there's no more questions, I'm gonna turn it back over to the Grand Sheik, and we're gonna close out. Islam?
Islam. Islam. So we'll rise and face the east. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, through Ali. Remain standing, one more prayer. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed, and principles. This we ask in our holy name and the seven Elohim. Amen. Amen. Islam, more Islam.
The treasurer is here. If anybody needs to see him, he'll be in the back there. So if you have any need to see him. And is there anybody getting together to maybe go eat out at Greenleaf? If I have to get out there.